Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to class this afternoon. Thank you for joining me. Whether you're watching with me live or you're watching the recording later on, I appreciate you watching. Welcome to the very first live stream for Web140, Web Development Tools this fall. This is our first live class. We're going to try to have these weekly. Today, as I mentioned in the announcement post, we're just going to be kind of going through the Begin Here module just a little bit, get a little more depth into it. So this will probably only take about 20 to 30 minutes today. So I'm looking forward to working with you all this semester and doing these live classes. And, you know, you can watch them live or you can watch the recording, just however you choose to do it, although I do think they are beneficial to watch, especially when we get into working with the different tools. You know, I'll be doing different demonstrations with the different tools and stuff like that. So it'll be good to watch those and get involved with those and work with those then. But Web140 is web development tools. Let me switch over here to the full screen view so we all can see this just a little bit better. And web development tools means something different now in 2022 than it might have meant way back in, say, the long time ago year of 2010. Right? Just about a decade ago, web development tools were a completely different thing than they are today. Even some of the web development tools that we do in this class could be on their way out. Right? jQuery, for example, is a tool that we're starting to see less and less use of as we go forward. So we'll talk more about why we still do jQuery in this class when we get to that point. But the tools that we use nowadays are way different than what they used to be. It used to be this class used a piece of software called Microsoft Expression Web, where you actually would kind of go in and draw a website onto a canvas, like you were painting it. And that's all well and good, and it came out with a website at the end of it, but it wasn't a standard compliant website. It wasn't a modern website. It's a very old school way of kind of thinking about websites. And so we had to take and kind of revamp this class to be something that would make more sense in a modern era. And that's what we've done here. We're looking at the different tools that we need to be able to complete websites. So ideally, you've had some experience with HTML and CSS before, although it's not a requirement, right? We can get you through it. It might just be a little bit tougher for you. If you've had some experience with HTML and CSS previously and JavaScript previously, it should be a little bit simpler than it would be otherwise. But I'm going to jump into the Begin Here module now, and we'll just discuss some different aspects here. Again, you want to make sure that you are revisiting this orientation video if you haven't watched it yet. That's going to give you sort of the nutshell version of what I'm going to talk about today in this orientation video. I'm just going to do a kind of a deeper dive in it over the next 20 to 30 minutes here. So you want to make sure you'll watch that. The first thing you'll want to complete is the enrollment verification activity. This enrollment verification activity here is what we at Cleveland Community College use to verify your enrollment in the course. It's a simple, just single question quiz. You go in, it asks you if you are in the class, and you promise to work in the class, and you promise to not cheat, basically. And so you go in, you select yes to say and submit, to save and submit your EVA. If you select no, or you do not complete this EVA by September the 6th, end of day September the 6th, then I have to administratively withdraw you from the class, which means you'll no longer be able to continue. So we want to be able to make sure that you get this done as soon as possible. I have my Begin Here module being due on Thursday of this week, which would be September 1st. So if everybody got their EVAs done by then, we'd all be in good shape. Some of this stuff that we're going to have in the Begin Here module is in all of your courses, or it's just general information that would be good for you to read and understand if you're not familiar with it. If you're not familiar with using Blackboard or some of the stuff around online classes, this is a good thing for you to just kind of read through this getting started. I was looking over the roster, and I think everybody here has taken online classes at Cleveland Community College before, so I don't think this class should have much of a problem with some of these things. But if you do have questions about any of this stuff, how to find the syllabus, how to find the instructor contacts, how to find tutoring information, how to get tutoring, how to communicate with me, right? Like, there's information about that in this getting started. Next, we have the syllabus. And so in the syllabus of the course, the first thing that we see here is web development is, my information, my name, my email address, the class time, which this class is online, where my office is, which has Paxway 3200 here, which is not correct. That's 3204A. That must have just been a pasting error. But we'll figure, I'll make that small change. Student hours. These are the things that are going to be important to you. Monday through Wednesday, my student hours, the times when I am available to you all to ask questions, is between 10:30 a.m. and 11:30 a.m. Right? So you can stop by my office, 3204A here in Paxoy, or send me a Teams message, and I will definitely be by my desk and be responsive and ready to go. The other option is Thursday there, and we see that it's 10:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. On Thursdays, I am going to be in Paxway room 3200 all day long from 10:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. as sort of a study hall, an open study hall, right? So this time is for all of my courses, whether seated or online. Feel free to drop by during that time. Work on stuff, ask questions, get individual help, right? I'll be there, or I'll be close by to where I can give you some help with all of that stuff. And so that's in Paxway room 3200. If you've had in-person classes here before, that's the big classroom that I like to, that I have classes in here on the top floor of Paxway. So the course description is that this course provides an introduction to web development tools. Topics include creating websites using web development tools and web standards. Upon completion, students should be able to create small websites and upload files to a web server. So the description here is pretty vague, right? And it's great that it is vague because that gives us the opportunity to kind of change up the tools that we're using. And so we're using sort of these modern tools, things like Git, GitHub, our browser developer tools, Bootstrap, which is a HTML CSS framework, jQuery, which is a JavaScript library. Right? These tools are all different things that we can use to help us make websites and make them easier or quicker. Right, I also have things like Canva in here, which is a little image generation website, so we can make multimedia for our sites. We talk about CSS preprocessors, which are things like Less and Sass, and they do different things with our CSS on the back end before sending it to our website, which makes writing CSS a little bit easier. Most of this is boilerplate that you can just kind of read on your own. There's no textbook required for the course. The Blackboard course material modules can be considered your textbook, right? So just everything that you have in the modules are the things that you need. And then our weekly live course, like we're doing right now, is our, our class session for the week. But a lot of this is boilerplate. When we get to the student learning outcomes, these are the things that I want you to be able to do by the end of the semester. One is to utilize Git and GitHub tools for web development, create dynamic and interactive websites / web applets using jQuery, create website using Bootstrap tools, evaluate websites using in-browser development tools, and to create websites using a combination of web development tools. As we can see here, we have the way your grading is weighted here. Attendance and participation assignments, we have discussion boards in the course. So these are going to be your attendance and participation assignments. They're worth 15% of your grade. The individual labs are worth 35% of your grade. Your group labs are worth 10% of your grade. And the final project, which is a group project, is worth 40% of the grade. So I have group labs here and the final project, which is a group project. In certain modules along the way, we have different milestones that you'll be turning in that support your group project. So these are your group labs, and the final project is the group project. So while we're here, let's talk about that final project, because that's something that people are going to want to know in depth here. So for your final project, you'll be making a website with your group. So it's going to be one website for your entire group. I'll divide you into teams, right? Since the last I checked, there were 6 people in this class. I don't know if that's changed. Andy, since the last I checked, maybe it has. I should check again. The last I checked, there were 6 people in this class. If there are still 6 people in this class, when the 10% point hits, which is that September the 6th we talked about earlier, I will divide you into 2 groups. I had 6 people in the summer class when we did this project this past summer. I divided them into 2 groups, and they did a great job. And, they didn't have quite as long to work on this as you all will have. So I think, if we have 6 people, 2 groups of 3 should be easy enough. We have this divided up to where it's for a 4-person team. Where each person will have a different role. One of the first things that you do is you kind of have a group leader. That group leader is going to kind of be responsible for creating and managing the GitHub repository where you'll be putting your final website. And it doesn't mean a whole lot to you now, but it will as we progress. And also just a little bit of project management, making sure everybody stays on task. But in addition to that, the group leader will be one of the, other roles here in contributing to the website. We have person 1, person 2, person 3, and person 4. So person 1 sets up the website using Bootstrap design tools. So you'll just set up the base website using some Bootstrap tools and make it look the way you want it to look. Person 2 is responsible for creating custom jQuery scripts. So if you have somebody on your team that might be stronger at coding, likes JavaScript a little bit more, they might be the one that you want to do your jQuery scripts. You want at least 5 custom scripts for this. They can add motion, they can add interactivity. You can even make a little simple game to add to the site. One of the things that they did over the summer that I thought was cool is they had something, kind of a welcome message appear on the site for a few seconds. And then after about 10 to 15 seconds, it disappeared, which is easy to do with jQuery. That's a script. We'll talk about hovers, and we'll talk about buttons, and we'll make like a to-do list, and we'll do all sorts of stuff with jQuery. We spend a decent amount of time with jQuery. Person 3 is going to be creating custom graphics using Canva. So you're creating 5 custom graphics, and you're implementing them into the site. So you'll be adding them to the site. And then person 4 will develop an analysis of the website using browser developer tools, highlighting site performance, memory usage, security, and you'll write a paper to go along with this that basically is your audit of the website, identifying any problems that need to be fixed, discussing about what scored high, what scored low, all that kind of stuff. And so you might want to just kind of go through the different modules here and just have a quick look at everything now, just to see, what might be good and what might not be so good for you. Right? Because one of your first group labs that you have to do as a group is to kind of assign roles and figure things out. So if we only have 3 people on a team, how can we have 4 roles? In the 4th role here, you can have one person do more than one role, or everybody can kind of collaborate on that 4th role, however you want to do it. Right? Like if you want to say one person's going to do the bootstrap, one person's going to do the Canva, one person's going to do the analysis, and maybe 2 people want to split the jQuery scripts, or maybe all 3 of you want to split the jQuery scripts, then, you're welcome to do that. Or one person can kind of pull it up. You just kind of have to make your decisions here. So this is kind of designed to where, even though you might not feel quite strong in one area, you can kind of find a niche where you can be good and contribute a lot to the group there. Since we're using GitHub for this project, it's easy for me to see who contributed what and when, because it's going to be all through the GitHub, right? Like when we look at GitHub, we have a listing of all the project contributors and stuff that I can go back and look at in the history. So I can see who pulled their weight and who didn't and all that kind of fun stuff as we go through with all that. But I'll give you some sort of program of study here at Cleveland Community College when I assign your group. And when I assign your group, I'll also give you some tools in Blackboard that'll help you out. A little group forum, some group messaging tools, and so on and so forth that will be accessible under the My Group link when you get to that point. As of right now, there's nothing there because there's no groups yet. But once I create the groups, there'll be some stuff there for you to use under your My Group link. And you can all just take some time and read through all this. You want to kind of make yourself aware of it now, since it is really going to be a semester-long project. And if you have any questions that come out of this, just let me know. As long as everybody's contributing and doing their part, it's a good outcome, right? Like, I don't like group projects in general. I don't like being in group projects. So I try to make this easy on you all, where you can kind of work on your own if you work better that way, while still being a part of a group, right? Because you can make contributions and you can do everything that you need to do while, not really interacting much with other people if you don't have to. So there is that. But I encourage you all to take some time and read through all of this and ask me questions if you have them about the group project. The course schedule here. This is when everything's assigned and when it's all going to be due. So we have it all right here in our syllabus. We know when our due dates are right now. That's also the same thing as the due dates and pacing, which is in our Begin Here module. So if you forget, it's right there. One of the things that I like to do when I have something like this is to write it down, take a screenshot of it, print it out, something to where I can have it on my desk so I don't have to go back here and look for it. But if you do forget, you can always go back here to the due dates and pacing in the Begin Here module just to remind yourself of when everything is due. Some of these modules will take several weeks working on. We take a couple weeks on the Git module. We take a few weeks on the jQuery module, right? Just because there is so much to cover during those those weeks. And some of these are longer and some of these are shorter, but you get the picture. Then I think the rest of this is primarily just kind of boilerplate stuff for everything, so that's there for you to read over if and when you get time. Here's that due dates and pacing again. Right here it is. One of the things that I say here is that late work is not acceptable. I don't accept late work unless you communicate with me. Right? I kind of think of it like the real world. If your boss at wherever you work tells you, hey, I got this project. I need it done by this date. Can you get it done for me? You say, yeah. And if that date comes and goes and your boss doesn't hear from you, you're probably not going to have a good day. You might get in a little bit of trouble. Right? But if you go to your boss before the due date and say, we've been working on this project, we've made great progress, but we've encountered this issue and this issue, and as a result, we might need an extension on this. Can we get an extension? Then they're very easy to work with. I'm very easy to work with about giving you extensions and giving you time, as long as you communicate with me before the due date about the time that you need. All right, we got to be professional about it. One of the things to remember around that, though, is that the rest of the class keeps moving forward, so if you need some extra time, that's fine, but you want to kind of make sure you don't get too far behind, so you end up digging yourself into a deeper hole. Just something to think about as we're approaching the semester. My information again here, my name, my email address, my office number. This is where my office is located here, 3204A Paxoy. Student hours again, right there, 10:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. That's that study hall in room 3200. Preferred contact method is email. I will amend that to say or Teams. Basically, I have email or Teams on me all the time. I can check it no matter where I am. I'm not necessarily in my office all the time, so calling me on the office phone might not always work, right? So if you email me, if you Teams message me, if I don't get back to you right away, I'll get back to you fairly quickly. Right, I'm typically really good. Those of you who have had me in the past should know that I'm pretty good about getting back to you when you email me. If you've never used Teams before for whatever reason, this video right here shows you how to get to Teams and use that. The live online class information, that's what we're doing right now. We're in our live online class. So 1 o'clock on Tuesdays. Do it on YouTube. I'll be posting the recording in Panopto just in case you need it there. I like to do it on YouTube just because, it's a place where people go to learn things in general, for one, and for two, it's a much less formal sort of interaction, right? Like you can hide in the chat. You don't have to worry about having your camera turned off or your microphone turned off. You can still send me questions via the chat. I do monitor the chat messages, so there is that, which is pretty good. It also talks here about the study hall, again, 10:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. on Thursdays, Paxoy 3200. Really everything else that I kind of have here is just some boilerplate type stuff that's just there for your information that you might want to read or watch if you need to. So please take the time to look at that. This is another link to the final project information here. So it just links you directly to the final project information. So you can make yourself aware of this now. And then finally, the last two things that we have here are the discussion board and the orientation quiz. So, just because it's an online class doesn't mean you get away from introducing yourself. You have to do the discussion. And the orientation quiz is here as well. So with that being said, that's really all that I have for you for today. We'll have our first real content live stream next week, and we'll look at our HTML and CSS refresh bootcamp a little bit. One of the big things that we'll go over out of that would be more of how to set up VS Code for, building a simple website, which is great since I have a new device. I can kind of be setting things up along with you and actually show you how to do it. But that is all that I have for you for today. I'll hang out in the chat for a couple minutes with the music playing, just in case anybody here with me has any questions. If you have a question while you're watching the recording, feel free to email. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.